microphones. First order of business, we have a continuance for the sorry.
Oh, before we start, let me just count.
Yeah,
Three,
that's
four,
sorry.
five. Okay, so I'll make a motion that Brian West be seated this evening.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
We have a continuance for Northam Survey LLC
Yeah,
for a
absolutely.
2-lot frontage subdivision at 227 South Road. And did they ask for a date, or did we give them a date? The next meeting.
27th, 17th.
21st.
21st. My mistake, 21st.
Okay. Somebody want to
Make a motion to continue Northern Survey for the next meeting of the 21st, 7 a.m. At 7 p.m., I'm sorry.
7 p.m. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye.
Did I have the second on
Steph.
that?
Okay, we'll do the minutes last. Discussion regarding Down East Auto. We have some notes from Glenn, comments from Glenn in the file. Do you want to give us an overview?
Yeah, folks might remember that they came in 2022, I think. Or was it 2021? 2021. And,
January 22, it says.
oh, it does say 2022? I did look at the minutes, so 2022 is good. And so at that point, it was discovered that we had done the whole site review of their property. And for whatever reason, a site plan was never recorded for that property. And we've included the minutes. We indicated to them that honestly, they should prepare a site plan. And they expressed how much that was going to cost, and they weren't crazy about doing that, but they have done that. And the reason that they were asking was because they wanted to do a modification to what they're doing up on the site. They're an automotive repair garage, and they wanted to also do used vehicle sales there. And so had they had that plan that is in their file, prepared by Richard Parker, it would have been something we could have done through an expedited site plan review, but couldn't because there wasn't a recorded plan. So they have had a plan prepared, and I would like to get a feel from the board as to the willingness to get that plan recorded so that they could, in fact, do that additional use on site.
So this would get recorded and then they would ask for the change?
Correct. And then we do an expedited review, which is something we do just with a letter from the property owner at a public meeting. It doesn't have to be a public hearing, but it does have to be a public meeting.
And so the site plan is current conditions?
Yes.
Okay.
And also shows that they have the ability to have a number of used vehicles for sale on site.
And we reviewed all that, didn't we?
We've had the site plan for about 6 weeks. But we talked with them about initially, right? And if anyone's familiar with the site, or if you're not, it's the facility that's across from the drag strip.
Yeah, up on the hill, right?
Sits up on a hill. They always have about 10 cars there in the front row. You can't even really see where they would be parking the used cars because of the elevation change.
It's pretty small up there, like for parking, from what I remember.
It's
There's a plan right in your package.
there's a plan there.
Yeah.
It's not, it's a one guy shop.
Yeah. Yeah, he's good.
And the site always looks really, they've kept it really well for the 30 years that they've been doing this.
Actually, it's two. the guy that owns it and his son.
Correct, correct, but
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think the
I had
sign,
my car worked on there, that's
yeah,
why I know.
yeah, and they're both, they do good work. They're
Yeah,
really
I
different.
Except,
Agree.
no, they do, they
The
do.
father and son are really different.
Stay-
They
yeah.
restore
Let's
things
stick to the
beyond,
plan.
they don't use any Mondo. If it's bent, they replace it.
Uh-huh.
I kid you not, I could not believe it. And the guy matches the paint, and if he has to put on 6 coats, he does.
Yeah, they do really good work on that.
Doug,
So just to clarify, is this the area that's like by Exeter High School,
no, the other side, like,
or is it
No.
the other?
the other side.
If you,
You know where the drag strip is?
Do you know where New England Dragway is?
or better yet.
So if you know where the castles were that
It's
got
close
taken
to
down?
exit 8 too.
Oh,
When you get
okay.
off exit 8, it's really almost like right there.
Okay.
You know, once you
Take a
hit
left on
27.
27,
Like you're going.
and there's
Got
a
it.
house, and then there's a.
Got it. So you get off at 8, you're taking like a left on North.
Yeah.
And that's got it. Okay.
Exactly.
In your
Left
packet,
eye.
you'll
Ooh.
find a letter from the one abutter. Beside him is Sig Arms
Right,
Across this-
one side is Sig Arms and a cell tower.
and a cell tower, and across the street is a drag strip and a former recycling facility
Right.
and a dump.
Now,
And his other neighbor's Jerry, who you have a letter from stating that Jerry does not care that Robert Brown
That-
sells
does-
used automobiles.
Does this change?
So really, it's not a butter situation. It's really a situation of a
An
misfortune.
administrative decision.
An
by the
administrative
board.
decision. You wouldn't even need to record the site plan? Or could we just add it as a note into his file?
I think we need to record this.
You want to record the
That
site
was
plan?
that is what held us up in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could we?
And unfortunately, I was here. That would have been, they came in 89, I think. They started at the very end of 88 and got their approval in 89. So I was here. I have no idea why that plan didn't get recorded. But it didn't, and there's nothing we can do about it. The person who prepared it died long ago, so we can't have the
Doesn't
work
have
done.
one. Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that this board, someone could make a motion to approve a used car dealer license for that lot?
I think we-
Contingent upon getting the Mylar recorded? Or
I
would you
think we
rather-
shouldn't do that.
You'd rather have the Mylar
I'd
recorded?
rather have the
first?
Mylar recorded and have them give us the letter so that we could do it as an expedited site review on the other end of things.
Would we have to charge the town planner fee, or could we just charge the Mylar and L-chip and?
Oh my God, yeah, no planner fee required.
Right, well, that's where I'm getting. So we just need a fee for the Mylar, to record the Mylar, the
Right.
L-chip, the copies,
Correct,
and a Mylar.
correct.
Okay.
It sounds, so this is near 6 Hour and Epping?
Yes, Sig Sauer is split.
Uh,
Sig Sauer, actually, there's a lot of Sig Sauer that's in
Brentwood.
Brentwood.
Oh, I thought it was all in Epping.
No.
Okay.
Most of their activity and all of their construction is in Epping.
Yeah.
Because long ago, when they wanted to do construction in Brentwood, we were going to make them put up barrier berms and stuff, and
Yeah.
they didn't like that at all.
The reason I ask is because given the proximity to SIG, even though this falls under our purview, is Epping going to weigh in on this at all?
No.
Have they expressed any?
No.
Okay.
No,
No, it's not regional impact
no.
No.
of car dealing.
And,
Right. Fair enough.
and
No.
it's not, that would be my take on it. It doesn't rise to
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
project of regional impact.
Right. Thank you.
So what do we do? Make a motion to record the Mylar?
If the board is willing, I think at this point, the motion should be to allow the chairperson to sign the Mylar and have it recorded.
I make that motion.
I'll second that.
Who's the second?
Second.
Right.
And we'll contact the Rounds and have them do the letter to ask for the use so that we can do an expedited site review.
So this is what it looks like right now. They already have parking or room for parking.
Correct,
And then we'll deal with the use second.
correct.
Okay. Any other discussion? You got the motions?
Yeah. to have Rob record a Mylar plan
Mhm.
with Rockingham.
Should we note that there's no fee involved for,
You can, but I know what
Okay.
to do, how to handle it.
And the minutes will note that this was all actually done back in the
Exactly.
80s and just didn't get recorded, but
That's right.
the board approved the plan back then. Okay. Any other discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. We have a Mylar to sign.
Oh, I gotta get you a pen.
Okay. You have new pages for us.
I do. You will note that not all books are created equal. It all depends what book that you have. You might be able just to replace these 2 pages, or you might need to scratch out the ordinance that's being removed and then just add these 2 pages into the book. Because the ones that I printed off the website didn't follow the same amount of page numbers. Sort of an odd thing that I ran into. My book was absolutely perfect. Yeah, I did print. It was perfect right up until the end. Just pay particular attention to the page number.
Thank you, sir.
No.
Cardboard,
I just use
Thank
my
you very much.
yeah.
bag.
Of course, thank you.
Files and-
Robbie actually slept through the night for the first time in a while, like 2 nights ago. So that's nice.
All right.
I woke up at like 6 a.m.
So-
Where's Rob? What's going on?
Don't let us leave without signing what we need to sign.
Is he okay?
Schedule a site walk for roadway acceptance. Which road?
This is for 3 Ponds?
Yeah, so I got an email that they have the paperwork done for the 3rd phase of acceptance. Is it the 3rd or 4th?
I thought it was
I think it's,
Phase 3.
I think it's, yes, it is phase 3 for roadway acceptance. I didn't know if it would be prudent to, at this meeting, to set a date for a site walk so I could coordinate with them,
Sure.
or we could wait till the 21st and do it when I actually get the paperwork in my hand. They're saying it's completed and they just need to drop it off to me. So that's up to the purview of this board, whether we want to set a date now, or you want Glenn to see that first and then set a date. It's up to you.
Fine with setting a date. unless-
Yeah, I am too, because honestly, I leave the road stuff to Chris, so if they don't have Chris's sign offs, it doesn't go.
And they're in coordination right now with Chris of setting a date for the engineers to walk it.
Okay. Should we do that at the same time? But they probably go during the week.
They go during the day. I'm 100% sure of that.
Okay. What do folks think? Any preferences?
It should be pretty open.
Do the 23rd, could do
Looking at, like, late
December.
November.
What's that?
Or,
23rd?
sorry, just to clarify, which month are we looking at? November or December?
Started on November, but I think
Okay.
we're already past November.
Okay, because in December I'll be open except around Christmas. I'll be in Sacramento.
December 7th? Or
Well,
is this,
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
are we in a hurry? I mean, are they
They're always in a hurry.
in a hurry, but when's Chris gonna be done?
Chris will be, it seems they'll be done very soon.
Okay.
I will be gone 20th through.
So no 7th either?
If it happens on December 7th. If it happens on
Yeah,
December
correct.
7th.
So, and you're also not
I'm gonna miss 2 meetings.
23rd. Can other folks do the November 23rd?
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah, yeah, I think that should work.
Sorry, Doug.
That's a
Otherwise, we're pushing it out.
No,
further,
that's
so-
fine.
Okay.
That's a
Close
Monday.
is that to Thanksgiving?
What?
It's a Sa-
23rd?
It's Saturday.
23rd is a Saturday.
Saturday.
When did you say Bruce is
Of
back?
Schedule
When,
it.
when's
November.
Thanksgiving?
Oh, okay.
The last weekend.
28.
When did you say Bruce is back?
Site walk.
This whole,
Repot.
I don't know when
Bruce is back, I
Okay.
think, in the next 7 or 8 days, so.
okay,
Yeah,
November
before next
23rd, 9 AM? Does that work for most
think so.
people? Okay.
We just meet like anywhere in particular.
The clubhouse.
The clubhouse.
The clubhouse. So Mark,
Not
in
received
the,
any correspondence from anybody about it, let's put it that way.
in the, public notice, can you put, we'll meet at the clubhouse at 9?
What are the requirements of that notice, Mr. Greenwood?
Just 24 hours.
It's still a 20, thank you very much.
We didn't have a quorum last time? No, that was a different one. Never mind.
Might bring back
Yes, should.
Meet at the clubhouse.
Other business. We have other business?
Yes, and we should talk about
Dun, dun,
Kanye West.
dun.
Right.
Did you had something you want to do yours?
Yeah, it's not really related to anything. But I figured, only because, like, literally it just showed up when I was looking at it. The New Hampshire Municipal Association is having their land use, whatever,
Could you speak closer to the microphone?
sure.
Thank you. Please.
New Hampshire Municipal Association is having their, I don't remember what it's called, but it's basically the land use version of their annual meeting. And I was wondering if anyone wanted to go. I can send you, or I guess I could send everyone this and they can
Is
decide.
that different than the legal one that we've been getting notices about?
I don't know what you've been getting notices about. so I
Well, they
can't-
called it a legal
Yep.
New Hampshire
Nope, this is the New Hampshire Municipal Association Land Use Law Conference.
Land
Land
use
Use
law.
Law Conference, okay.
Mhm.
And it is the same, and it used to happen earlier in the fall, but
Mhm.
it's a really good program.
Yep, so topics include zoning 101, meeting mechanics for land use boards, ZBA in New Hampshire, planning board housekeeping, ZBA decision-making process, how can your community become more housing friendly?
And you did.
Yeah.
Did you? Okay, great.
Date, time,
It is November 16th in Manchester from 9 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. And you would not have to pay money because it would be covered by the training line or whatever you have for the equivalent.
I might be able to go. I haven't been to one in person. I've
So you
watched
saw this?
some of the webinars,
So I
yeah.
don't need to forward it again. Great.
Yeah. Does anybody want to go?
I'll have to check also, but I am interested.
Okay. Maybe we can carpool, a little contingent going. I just have to be, I don't know if I can stay the whole time. Okay.
Oh, no, you can go first. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I just had two quick things. One planning board related, one less related. So as I'm sure everybody is aware, the election's over. And so there is going to be another LSR deadline. I've double checked when it starts and ends. It's different in the House and Senate. The Senate one is usually a little bit later. But now that we know that our two legislators are going to be Eric and Melissa, and then we also have Senator Gannon, I'm happy to help, once again with that outreach, with any legislative priorities that we have. I'm going to be talking to my friend Joe Sweeney, who is part of House leadership. I'm going to be talking to him in the near future to kind of hear what they're thinking, just to kind of see like what they have coming down the pipeline, so that we have awareness of it and we're prepared, and we can make a decision if you want to take a position on anything. But proactively, we also have a little bit of time to decide if there's anything that we want to present to Eric or Melissa that we might want to push forward that could be beneficial for us. So I'll follow up with folks in terms of when those deadlines begin and end. The House one is usually around Thanksgiving, and sometimes the Senate is as late as like around Christmas time. Sort of around the holidays, Christmas, New Year's, Hanukkah, and those like the mid to late December, in that ballpark. So keep folks posted there, and feel free to think of things that we may want to push forward. I know, Mark, you've already talked about a really common sense legislative change that I think would be really positive. And then the other thing I just want to mention that obviously next week is Veterans Day, and with that, and also with the anniversary of Pearl Harbor coming up, just I know we all do this, but just important to keep in mind to thank the veterans in our lives, and honor those who aren't with us anymore. And yeah, that's all I had.
Amen. If you could keep me abreast of that date.
Yes.
I haven't prepared anything yet.
Yeah.
I'm looking, Glenn and I have been pretty busy on our Wednesdays, but I do want to prepare something
Yeah.
and have Glenn take a look at it, and then
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah, so that'll be
push
good.
forward with that.
Yeah, so we'll touch base on that, because what we can do is just like send like a basic idea of what we want to either Eric or Melissa, whoever wants to do it. And then what they do is they give that framework to OLS, the Office of Legislative Services, and then those are the folks who actually write the bills. Most of them are lawyers, and so they can write it in a way that complies with our RSAs.
Okay.
So we can connect on that.
Really, it's just compiling that noticing for the planning board and the site plan review, and then finding all equivalent RSAs that don't follow that, and seeing what we could do with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
ZBA, Glenn and I will come up with a list, and then I will.
'Cause there was another piece of legislation that allowed that for some things, right? So we could
Well,
copy.
Well, that's what I'm saying,
paste,
is
yeah.
that legislation they did pass kind of missed the mark on all the processes of noticing. Like work on a scenic road, correct, Glenn? If I'm mistaken. Work on a scenic road, the ZBA.
It doesn't provide the same mechanics for the ZBA, nor does it for other applications that come before the planning board, like the scenic road or excavation ordinances.
That's the one, excavation, yeah.
So I don't know how palatable it'll be for legislators to change the scenic road in the excavation ordinance, because they're specific purposes, and they both actually require notice that is presently beyond what is required for either the ZBA or the planning board. But certainly having the zoning board have the opportunity to use the website the same way that the planning board can, it just seems like a no-brainer to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and if they don't, I mean, it's too bad we don't have like a central place that all things could be posted, recognizing that newspapers are spotty, and maybe
guess.
there'd be more people interested in the scenic road beyond the town. But if the state had a website, you could just post everything, and
No,
everybody knew to go there.
the whole newspaper thing is archaic. It really is. It's not reaching, I don't think it's reaching our community to the spirit of the ordinance. And that was really the intent, is the spirit is to get it in front of as many townspeople as humanly possible. I think the website does that more effectively. If you look into the, like the scenic road cutting, I have to notice it twice in the paper. I have to notice it once, and then a second time, no less than 7 days prior to the hearing. So they made it more restrictive. I don't know if you could use that same legislation to say I have to put it up on the website twice or in a month consecutively. I think there's ways of doing it. Now, I would like the whole thing tackled at once if humanly possible.
It's just, the website is so much better. The requirement of having it twice was so that it was there. On the website, you put it up in May, it's still up
Yeah.
if someone looks in July,
Right.
you know?
And it's the front page, so,
Yeah.
right, so
Right.
it's not something
Your
that would be
homepage.
posted
That is
in
buried,
news that
right.
would, that would,
Buried on
fall
page
off
12.
of the front page. Okay.
Yeah.
Let us know how we can help. That seems like something maybe the New Hampshire Municipal Association would be interested in or helpful with too.
Well, that's what I'm interested in talking to legislators of how do I need to present this? Obviously, they have lawyers that are writing this legislation. So just giving them a basic premise, like here, this is what they've changed this to, and here are all the other instances where it could be changed to this. And
It can be pretty it can be pretty broad. So from my experience, you can just kind of tell them what you're trying to do, and then what happens is once it's drafted, representatives have a period of time that's called the sign-off period, where they can review the legislation to make sure that it actually does what they want to do. So they're not like blindsided that, oh, I thought this was going to do something else. And so it's usually like a week or so window where legislators can sign off on it. Something like this that is just kind of a common sense change, updating something that's outdated. Usually those things happen on a pretty bipartisan basis on the consent calendar. And so I think, I don't want to volunteer anybody or speak out of turn, but I would even approach Eric and Melissa about just doing it together. So you have a Democrat and a Republican on it. It's a totally nonpartisan thing. But to answer your question, they'll have an opportunity to look at the final version before it's actually introduced and put before a committee hearing.
Awesome. Keep me abreast. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
And I can help you on language and on like a little explanatory paragraph or something and say, this, it was already done here, now we're asking to do it here. Why?
I have one quick thing to bring up, just kind of random subject, but I recently, for work, was tasked with investigating possible grant funding opportunities for another community, but at the same time, had Brentwood in the back of my mind while I was working on it, because it was a project that has some similarities to some of the projects we've been talking about in town. And so I do have like a list going that I don't know if this board is the right place to talk about it, or if it's Economic Development Committee, or just
Is
separately
it
at the select
road
board.
related or something?
Yeah, like roadway transportation project related. But I just wanted to mention it here at a starting point. Some of the grant rounds for ones that I think would be applicable for Brentwood are fast approaching. So if we wanted to pursue them, we would probably want to like get the ball rolling soon. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys and see what you think. If you want, I can send a summary of the ones I recommend and you guys can think about it. And maybe the first step is the planning board recommends we pursue it, or if you guys agree.
What's fast approaching?
Let me bring up my little manual here.
Letty, what do you think? Is this more a planning board thing or a select board thing?
I mean, sorry, it is kind of both, because the select board is probably going to look to the planning board because we don't know anything about roads, right? Like, that's not.
And the grants might actually say that it has to come from the governing body of the town, so.
I mean, yeah, we would be, I feel like we did that with something else where it's probably even actually Steph
sent
did
a
all the work,
letter,
and then we
yeah.
just said,
They wanted
yes.
to write
Yeah,
down.
that one was a little rushed because it caught me by surprise. So this one I'm trying to get ahead of.
No, but I guess the point is that the select board would be happy to get grant money, and we can do whatever you want to help you with
Yeah,
that.
so maybe I'll Yeah, so there's the RAISE program. The next round of applications for that are due January 30th. Let's see.
That seems
That-
like forever away.
Yeah, but when all said
Oh,
and
I know,
done,
Yeah, with the holidays.
especially if you want to get letters of support. Some of these I need to dig a little deeper because there may be rules about you may only be able to apply if you own the facility, and some of these projects looking at are on like state roads, so I need to dig into that a little bit. There's a transportation alternatives program. That one, the first mandatory step is submitting a letter of interest, and that's due December 6th. That's coming up
That's
pretty
coming up
soon.
real quick.
Yep. Let's see. Some of them, the rounds open a few months out, or they have rolling deadlines. So, there's one. So, New Hampshire DES, Drinking Water and Groundwater Bureau, Water System Sustainability Grant Program, Strategic Planning Grant. I think this is one I applied for us a year or two ago, and we didn't get it, but the feedback was they kind of prioritize planning grants for emergency situations like PFAS and stuff. So it's not that we didn't qualify, they're just we're more pressing needs. So couldn't hurt to recycle that one again. That one's due November 15th. And then yeah, so those few that I mentioned are the ones that are coming up soonest.
Yeah, if you want to send a note to Mark with, doesn't have
Some
to be really
feedback.
detailed, yeah. And what projects do you think we'd be addressing?
Okay.
Forward it.
When's the next RPC meeting?
Next week,
Next week, yeah.
Wednesday, 6:30 in Portsmouth.
And are they, when do they vote on those projects, the 10-year plan?
Next week, right?
I believe so,
Next
yeah.
week.
Okay, are you
That's my
both,
understanding.
are you both able to go?
Yes.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah, official on the record kudos to Mark. Thank you for going and representing us and arguing our case.
I was in shock when this man tried to argue that he wanted it removed completely.
What was his argument?
And where was he from?
His argument was, I call him creepy Gandalf. He looked,
Let's,
so
Stick
his
to the
argument
facts,
was,
please.
Record?
We are being recorded.
Yeah.
that's
For the
okay.
record.
He's creepy Gandalf. I'll say it again. So his argument is that because of on 125 that a giant warehouse had been proposed, that a light would possibly be going up the street, and that would be enough of a traffic calming measure to solve the
a
problem.
lot of
on South Road.
ifs.
Well, my argument was, it doesn't matter what happens to the north, and it doesn't matter what happens to the south. It'll always be a dangerous intersection.
Yeah.
So that needs to be,
For east-west travel.
Yes.
Having nothing to do
right,
with
right.
development on
Mhm.
either side of 125.
That was his argument, and it was quickly defeated. And it is a north-south corridor for the state of New Hampshire, a major north-south corridor. And so it gambered favor, and it actually got all the way up to number one. It's the number one, number two priorities, the top two
That's great.
priorities. Yeah, I'm glad I was there, and some other people were glad that I was there, that someone was there to advocate for it.
Yeah.
Where was Gandalf from?
I'm not 100% sure. Not 100% sure.
My guess is maybe Kingston. Because I think, isn't Kingston where there was a warehouse proposed on 125? So
It's been proposed many times. That
Sears.
But there's one that's a conditionally approved 800,000 square foot building.
Where the old Sears building used to be.
yeah, I was so mad at myself. Like of all the meetings that I have optimist. Like, this is not.
Tom,
the one.
fine, it was it was actually my pleasure.
Yeah.
It really was my pleasure.
You're probably more assertive in like arguments.
You think so?
Situation than me. I feel like.
You sent the bulldog. I mean, it is the last road in the town of Brentwood that really needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I hit upon the story, I grew up on the first light, and I know what it's like to live on a road like that. I hit about a lot of subjects that I think helped
Yeah.
helped our plate.
Well,
And the
good job.
cost of it really helps too, it's because it is one of the lower cost initiatives that really needs to be done, and I think it'll have a great and well-needed impact in the town of Brentwood, and I think it's
Yeah.
money well spent.
Definitely.
Would the town have any part of that, or is the state, it's all state funds that come through the region?
That's all state funds.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay anything.
Well, thanks to everybody who, I
Yeah.
don't know, like 4 years ago said, hey, we haven't really been participating in the RPC, and you guys have been going, and you've been going and doing things on transportation,
Yeah,
and
they-
you defend it. I mean, it was, to go from not participating to having the top project
It's amazing.
is
And what really
great.
helps is having good engineering, because they want to see really kind of hard figures, you know what I mean? They don't want you guessing at a project, they want to see decent engineering, good ideas, good support,
We had the road audit.
good advocating for this
DOT.
cause, and that really helps your plate. I think we've done all that we can.
And it's just a good show for Brentwood, the engagement, there's no doubt about it.
Right, being engaged, showing up to the meetings, getting hard figures.
Yeah, it really.
Getting
goes
good
a long
data.
way.
Love it.
Mhm. I think it really worked out in our favor, and I'm excited to get that. And that we have good commercial property right there at the corner, that without some sort of mediation there, that will definitely have to happen if you develop that corner. If that happens, I think that property will, yeah, well, there's four corners to a
Space.
square. Yeah, yeah, and Mitchell's is kind of a small piece of property, it's, you have to buy up other property, but that piece right there on the, as you turn into the, right in the south, there's a good piece there that can be utilized as for commercial purposes. We've had applicants come in the past and want to utilize it, but that intersection was a concern to that applicant.
We had a speaker
And to the
at
board.
Economic Development who said what he would do at that corner if it wasn't so dangerous, so.
All right.
Doug?
Yeah, just want to bring forward, where are we with warrant article for coming up in housing? We had discussed that a few weeks ago, a month and a half ago, multi-housing.
Oh,
You had made mention,
I think because that's our number one goal with the second phase of the HOP grant.
We're still waiting on approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that we weren't going to do
do
a
any,
warrant
okay,
article in
Yeah.
March.
okay.
we talked about a warrant article for starting a fund that we could use to update the master plan every several years.
Right, I recall.
I think it's going to be a rough town meeting this year, just based on
If you've gotten your tax bill and you've
tax
opened it.
bills. But we wouldn't be proposing spending any additional funds, just spending them in a different way.
Right.
Do you know when, it was 60 days from when we submitted the grant proposal? It's been like a month.
Yeah, I haven't heard any updates yet, not just about us, but about any community.
Yeah.
So I think that what I gather is that they're still combing through
Takes some
things.
time.
How
Yeah.
much was the grant for?
60.
60.
I can't conceive of us not getting it.
Well, don't jinx us.
Yeah.
I already
Um,
said it out loud.
Speaking of the master plan, can you put transportation and vision chapters on the agenda for a public meeting? I found what I think is the last version of those. I'll recirculate them, but let's vote on those. And then we'll do the housing one at a different meeting.
Okay,
That one needs more cleanup.
they have to be noticed as a public hearing, sir? What specific date do you want to do that on?
It doesn't matter, if It could be the next meeting unless you already have a bunch of stuff lined up. You wanna
We have
spread it out a
the
little.
Northam.
Which isn't that,
It's not much.
It
yeah.
shouldn't, that shouldn't be that
You can
bad,
put it on
but
the next one.
We could, where are they? I need them, I need them.
I'll send them to you.
Well, I need to have, if I have to put in the public hearing notice
The
that I
documents.
have them for inspection in
okay.
my office. And if someone
Yeah.
shows up and asks to inspect them and I don't
They're
have
in your
them-
email somewhere, but I'll send you another copy. They're the ones they're marked October of 2023. It's the last version I could find.
Could you do me a favor?
Mhm.
Could we put it on a subsequent meeting after that?
Yes.
I want to make sure that I have them, and I want to make sure that we're doing it right.
Yep.
Is that the 5th you're talking?
So how about December 5th?
All right. And if I get the housing one cleaned up before then, we can add that too.
Vision,
Okay.
transportation and vision.
Yep.
You gonna try to do housing on the 5th also?
That should, yeah, I should be able to. Yeah, let's do housing too.
Housing as well.
Be there.
So I will start
It's all right.
making that out, but I won't do anything
gonna-
with it until I physically have them.
Okay. Other items?
I know we want to approve the minutes too, right?
Yeah, I think we have an issue.
Gotcha.
we have an issue.
So,
At the last meeting of the planning board, you asked me to get in touch with Chris Raymond, our town engineer, to get better or decisive feedback about the driveway culvert issue that we have over at Tanya Way. In that
Where?
issue, Tanya Way on South Road, across from Kennedy Circle. So that's a cluster subdivision. No, it's a cluster subdivision. That has, for some reason, been developed with culverts for the driveways that don't adhere to Brentwood's construction standards.
Do these culverts happen to be more than 10 feet away from the road?
More than 10 feet away from the
Or
road,
whatever,
no.
no.
They're all within the, when I talked with Chris, we established that it would just be best to go out and look at it. Chris asked the developer's engineer to stake the property boundaries so that we could see where they all lie. They all lie in the town's right of way. And so the problem is, in the town's right of way, there's supposed to be reinforced concrete pipe. And instead, they are plastic pipe. The difference being durability. And if we have a concrete pipe there, it's going to last a long time in the future. And because it's on town property, the goal is for us not to be encountering a lot of expense up quick on roads when we take responsibility for them. So there are 3 out there now that have been placed but are on properties that don't have homes on them and haven't been paved yet. Because the only way to fix this is to cut all the driveways, remove the plastic drainage pipe, and put in reinforced concrete pipe. It will be an expensive endeavor, and it will result in ugly driveways for everybody that lives there, because they will have cut pavement that will expose those driveways to water damage over the next 15 years, however long, until somebody decides that they want to resurface their driveway. It's,
Has Chris commented on his opinion on plastic pipe?
yes, he said that it's a really common material for driveway pipes in the seacoast, but it isn't our standard.
And what happened, do we think?
There was a waiver that was submitted that I think confused things. But the waiver was not actually for the driveway culverts. It was for a stormwater culvert that ended up being completely on private land. And when it was on private land, the planning board made it clear that we don't care what you use on
Yeah,
private
right.
land. And so they withdrew the waiver.
That wasn't for driveways, though.
It really wasn't for driveways. But it did confuse things, and Chris thought that the waiver was still in place, but it had never really been in place, but he had received paperwork saying that they were gonna ask for it.
Hmm.
And there was discussion at our site walk that we did, was it just yesterday? It seems so far away. That spoke to the fact that when this was happening, reinforced concrete pipe was really hard to get, but those arguments don't adhere or grab any traction from my perspective. The thing that does grab traction from my perspective is we have on the approved plan set conflicting notes. We have notes that say all roadway construction will be done to town standard. And we have a note that says all drainage materials will be ADS plastic pipe.
And it gives the standards of those plastic pipes.
And did he think, when you say drainage, though, there was drainage on private property, was it clear that
No, it
label.
uses the very vague all stormwater management facilities will be
and
done
does the
with.
storm water,
ADS.
and that usually includes driveway culverts?
Oh, yeah, the reasons for the culvert is for stormwater management to allow flow in the created swales for, road drainage.
So in your opinion, where do we stand on this?
So we talked about that as well. I think that justifiably, we have an argument that says you just didn't develop to our standard, even though you knew what our standard was, because we had the discussion about the waiver. Now, the plan notes, that's a bad thing. And I gotta say, I can't hold myself harmless from that because I review those plans. But I gotta tell you, I don't review the town's roadway plans. That's not what you guys hire me for. We have an engineer that does that, and I count on that engineer.
And did he think they had a waiver?
I'm not, I have to assume that he did.
Yeah.
And so here's, push comes to shove.
Mhm.
What happens if this goes to court?
Which it will.
Which is what the response would be. If we hold strong
Go to court, why?
and say if we tell the developer that we expect you to do $15,000 to $20,000 of work on every driveway, he's gonna balk at that. He's going to say, well, that's $100,000. It's cheaper for me to sue you people because you approved a plan that said we could put in ADS pipe.
So, but it's only a problem if we take over the road.
Correct?
We could just not take over the road and he doesn't have to fix it.
That is absolutely something that we could say.
At that point, who are you punishing? No, the homeowners,
You
the people who live there. Well, they're gonna have to pay to get the roadway plowed.
Oh, well.
Well, that who bears the burden of
In terms of we're gonna say you need to fix this, and it's gonna be cheaper to sue.
Right,
Compare that to having to plow the road.
ultimately, I would try to minimize the impact upon the homeowners. They're innocent in this. They didn't have anything to do with it. This is a problem between the town of Brentwood and an applicant who these people are really seriously going to get caught up in the middle of it. And we have to take that into consideration when we make a decision of what we want to do.
Well, let's go back to the question of
So,
what we would argue if.
Yeah, that's what I'm
If we
wondering is
were
if
sued.
it did go to court, because of the sort of the contradictory, what what is our standing?
When you ask what is our standing, what are our chances or what are?
Yeah, that's more what I meant. I apologize.
Honestly, I think that a judge is going to say ADS pipe is common for driveway culverts, happens all over the region. You're going to have appropriate drainage facilitated by those culverts. The town approved a plan that said they could use the culverts, and why are you sitting before me? I mean, that's speculation on my part, but I've seen my towns get bested if the judge thinks we're crawling up or down a rabbit hole that needn't happen.
Yeah.
I have a few thoughts. I don't know if I'm allowed to put my engineer hat on.
That's
Yeah.
why you're here.
Yes.
We want
ADS plastic pipe, I agree, is very common, and I would argue it's a better choice for a driveway like this because it actually performs better when there's less cover over the top of it. It's stronger. Reinforced concrete pipe, if it doesn't have enough material over the top of it, is more susceptible to cracking. So, I think it's a more appropriate material for this condition, actually.
And this is what's going to happen in a court case.
It's very common in communities. Some communities, it's actually their standard. I think it actually, in some cases, can last longer because it's less likely to crack than RCP, and it's cheaper right now. Yeah, so I guess that's my 2 cents. And then my final thought is, while we don't want to always bend over backwards for developers and throw our own standards out the window, I think there are appropriate times to be a little bit flexible so that we're a town that's not branded as difficult to work with.
Well, here's an option that we discussed on site. The town requires this because what we're looking for is to reduce our long-term responsibility. And we could simply, there's a homeowners association out there that hasn't been turned over to the homeowners yet. The homeowners documentation could simply say, the culverts under the driveways, even though located in the town right-of-way, are the responsibility of the property owner. So if one was to fail, the property owner would have to fix it.
But that's not the norm anywhere else.
It is not the norm, but the norm is something that they don't have.
And since the plan has been approved, can you do that after the fact?
Oh, yeah, because it's a homeowners association. Their documents can change their documents at will.
They don't have to be submitted prior to the signing of the document and approved?
No, I mean, we want to see them.
Yeah.
And in this instance, so step back, what homeowners documents often can cover in the discussion with Longview, their homeowners documents say that any sidewalks constructed, even if they're in the right of way of the town, will be maintained in the future by the homeowners association, because we didn't want that liability. This is the same instance. If our requirement is a concern that we think there is less chance that we're going to have maintenance costs in the future as a result of the kind of culvert that we require be put in there, if the maintenance of those culverts aren't our responsibility, where is the liability that the town has?
It sounds though like it might not be more liability for the town if they're
Based
less.
on what Steph said.
That's been my experience. I'm not like a
Yeah.
manufacturing expert or anything.
And one concern, I haven't yet formulated an opinion one way or the other yet, just to be clear, but just a concern that comes to mind about that in terms of the homeowners being responsible is, it's one thing for like new homeowners, but for people who bought those homes without the expectation that they'd be responsible for that. Just because we can do that to them, I would just throw out there, do folks think that that's really the right thing to do, given that they bought those homes not knowing that? But then again, circumstances do change, and when you buy a home, I suppose you take that into account. But just kind of want to throw that out there to see what folks think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the homeowners association is set up either. I mean, how does that, when does that come into play?
Usually it's when when more than half of the development has been purchased by individual owners, the homeowners association gets transferred over. It hasn't happened yet, which might be that the way that Mr. Healy is doing this is until the last 3 or 4 lots are developed, he keeps control of it. I'm not sure. It's usually at the 51%.
Right.
That happens, but that's not a fast rule. It's more like a pirate condition of approval sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Glenn,
Yeah, and my only other point would be, I don't think the developer should just be able to, walk away. I mean, just completely. I mean, I don't know what, the sanction is or how we work that out, but I feel like there should be some accountability.
Sounds like more
there are
TEC
three.
than it does.
Excuse me?
building, right?
There are 3 driveways that do not have homes on them.
Okay.
And perhaps saying you have to do concrete pipe on those 3. The only thing with doing that is, what are we saying? We're saying that we demand that it's there because it's better, and so we're not giving that protection to everyone else. If we do that, but that would mean that he would have to pull up existing culverts and put in the ones that are appropriate to our regulation. There would be time and expense to that, but then it would leave us with a hybrid situation.
Hey,
But,
sorry, go ahead.
I mean, is there a solution where we request a memo from Chris that says this is an acceptable material in his professional opinion, and then we take that opinion and say, okay, we're okay with this and move on? Like, is that ever an option?
Remember, we're having this discussion because this decision is entirely in the board's hands. We have not approved, we have not accepted that road yet. So it is private property, and they're going to want to the owner's going to want to come to us at some point for that action. So anything is on the table.
Has the bond been released for the drainage? There's $178,000 in a bond
I don't
specifically
believe
labeled
so.
drainage. But could you give some clarity on page 52 of our subdivision regulations? Specifically section 3A3?
Specifically what?
Section 3A3.
Establish grades that adequately protect and promote highway drainage and permit a safe and controlled approach to the highway in all seasons of the year. Culverts, ditches, swales, and other drainage structures shall be installed and maintained by the applicant where necessary to ensure adequate drainage of the town road. So what don't you understand about that?
Installed and maintained. So if the culverts failed on a driveway, would they have to be the ones maintaining them?
I read this as saying until it became the town's issue.
Okay, that's
Town's
why I
property.
wanted clarity. in
It's
that.
about
So
the
that-
construction permit application.
It's
Right.
only specifically pertains to a construction application.
Yep.
And as soon as we accept or adopt it as a town road, that
Then-
standard no longer applies.
Correct.
Thank you.
So to me, there's 2 at least issues. One is, what do we do with the driveways? The second issue is long-term, and the email that we got or message that we got from the engineer or the developer, I found concerning because it basically said, my stance is there was something in writing, and your regulations say that we can do something as long as that it's in writing. And the implication was, as long as I wrote something on the plan that you guys missed, maybe, that's tacit approval. And to me, it's,
Again, that doesn't mean that we'll accept the road. So if that's the track that they're going down, okay, yep,
yeah.
you can do whatever you want, but
But let's just say that I guess I'm leaning toward, it's unfortunate this happened. It got missed and, there was confusion about a waiver, whatever. But it sounds like this isn't something that's way out of the standard practice, generally speaking, and isn't necessarily going to fail and cost the town money in the foreseeable future any more so than something else would. So it doesn't meet our standard, but from a practical standpoint, is
It's
it
not an unsafe
an
condition.
issue? Is it going to cost us money? And would it be kind of an undue burden to ask somebody to fix something if there's not a lot of evidence that it's going to be a problem? My concern with that and saying, okay, given all of that, let's just move on, is I still want to deal with this attitude of, well, I slipped a note on there, so
read the
now I
same
can do
thing.
what I want, now in the future.
Because
Somebody
there are
else-
two notes there.
Yeah.
And one binds them to meeting our requirements.
Yeah.
Um,
So did you talk to him directly, or have your conversations been with the engineer, our engineer?
Oh, no, all three, the applicant's engineer was in on this discussion. They're standing right there.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can make a decision tonight, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that,
And we left it that you guys have not had a full discussion of this, so
Yeah.
we would bring it to you, and this is just the beginning of the discussion on this topic.
Steph, just a question. Is there a lifespan on that piping? Do you know? Can you tell?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I could look it up.
I'd just be curious. Is it 10 years or? Yeah.
I think it's more than that.
Yeah.
Let's see what
Well, you're just interested in comparison, really, right?
Yeah.
design
Yeah.
service life of 100 years.
Which one?
The plastic pipe.
Yeah, I mean, I would be comfortable with that based on what Stephanie has said and kind of put forth and what Glenn has said.
Because both engineers spoke to that very point yesterday, and Chris said absolutely, it is a common design standard for driveway culverts throughout the seacoast.
But I do think we do need to be clear about, going forward, this is not going to be acceptable. We're not going to honor a note on
yeah.
a plan.
Yeah, I found the response fairly offensive, actually. And
Okay.
What you
'Cause
asked
then-
him not to
No,
reply.
he specifically wanted to come to this meeting, and Glenn and I both told him we'd prefer if you didn't, that the board could talk about it at their leisure. We will not make a decision this evening,
right.
obviously, and it'll be an ongoing conversation. And no longer than 2 hours after that, he sends an email, gets a hold of our planning board email list, and then emails all of you and the attorneys. I just wasn't, after the conversation we
I am
had.
just now aware of that.
Oh,
I had no idea that happened.
You're CC'd in it. I looked in your.
Did you read the email?
I did not.
Oh,
Oh.
do you have it handy? Could you read
Yeah.
it aloud?
We specifically told him, Glenn.
That's
Steph,
what
can you
I'm
read
thinking
that
about.
aloud?
Yeah.
That to me is
Or I will.
It was bold.
a problem.
I guess I didn't.
Well-
I didn't take it to be like super attitudey, so maybe.
Not
maybe I need
attitude,
to
but
read-
it's just,
So
if
if
That's an engineer, and he hears language
I,
like that all
that's
the time.
to me. I feel like I would have written this. So Maybe not
Uh-oh.
the same wording.
Seen a new side. of Seth.
So
I liked it 2 minutes ago.
it says, maybe if I reread it, I'll pick up. It says, "Gentlemen, thank you for meeting with me today on
Gentlemen.
site.
Oh.
Well, we
After
were all men.
reviewing this closer, I'm taking the following position. The subdivision plan, sheet A1, note 14, clearly states, the subdivision regulations of the town of Brentwood are part of this plat, and approval of this plat is contingent upon completion of all requirements of said subdivision regulations, excepting only any waivers or modifications made in writing by the board and written on the Mylar. On the grading and drainage plan, sheet C3, note 14, gives clear written notice to the board that all drainage pipe shall be non-perforated ADS N12 or approved equal. Drainage plans, stormwater calculations for said subdivision indicate ADS N12 pipe or equal. Please let me know if you have any questions or need additional information." I guess
pretty
put
matter of fact.
my 2 cents. I read that and just thought he was kind of like pointing to the note, saying like, "Oh yeah, we had the note." I didn't read it with an attitude, I guess.
Yeah, and
Like-
it's.
That's
it's more-
exactly the discussion we had out on site. However, I mean, I would respond to this if he and I were just having a discussion, to say that the only time we allow it to be waived from is if there is a waiver. And
He
a
did say
waiver-
made in writing by the board.
But, and as a
Putting it
waiver
on
to the
there.
requirements.
Yeah.
And that never happened.
Well, it did and you withdrew it.
And the, 'cause
Yeah,
this reads as,
Exactly.
Right.
That was not done by the
this
board.
says, if I put, I follow the rules, except if I write something on this plan that doesn't meet the rules,
You have to find it,
that.
or I'm going to screw you. Because we do that, and you see this reflected every time I tell an applicant, if a waiver is granted, they have to put that as a note on the plan.
Explicitly. But
That's
something
that's why I require
voted
that
on
time and time again.
in writing. They apply for the waiver, we vote on it, it's in writing.
This
and it's-
was not, that would be my response to this. Had I seen it today, I would have popped something out,
But he is CC'd on that.
But yeah, but on Thursdays, I'm
Oh.
sorry, folks, I am not on Brentwood time.
Yeah.
I'm on other towns' time.
You're not.
So I think, we can table this for tonight. Everybody kind of think about,
Well, Bruce has some strong feelings about this too.
He has very strong feelings, but he has also indicated to me that he understands that it could perhaps be a challenging
Correct,
situation, so.
correct. But he'd like a note in the file or make it very clear where our position. Yes. For tonight.
It's an ongoing discussion.
ongoing discussion, and I
Okay.
think we should probably look at the language in our ordinance too, to make sure that it's very clear
Good
that
Mhm.
it's not adequate to put something on the plan and have people
handwriting.
hope to find it.
Oh, yeah, I would,
Um,
should I perhaps respond to him?
Yeah.
I mean, because I will respond exactly how I feel about what he said, which I think is legitimate. And if he really did send this to council, then
Well, there's a bunch of people I didn't
I
recognize.
wanna
I didn't see any.
tell all those
lawyers
same
on it,
people.
Unless I'm on a different email. I'm
We-
just seeing Chris and a bunch of people from.
Okay,
Johnson.
it was the John Lavelle.
We do have,
Was the council.
$2,500 or so still. And we haven't used any of our legal budget this year. If we wanted to
Have it reviewed.
have somebody give us an opinion on.
Well, our roadways really need to be done. There's some conflicting information
And
in
Chris
there.
is doing that, right? I mean, he is
Mhm.
doing a real proposal.
I would
Okay.
say, if it were me, I would give Wayne the benefit of the doubt that he didn't realize an express waiver was needed, and his interpretation was
Being
if
very
it.
nice.
You're being very
I mean,
generous.
I'm
He's
like,
worked with
I'm
us for a long
I'm
time.
sympathetic.
He
to
wrote
Being
one.
very
and he drew
generous.
it, So he
He's
knew that.
very generous.
He's worked with us for a long
Yeah.
time.
I-
And it's pretty clear that
Seems pretty
that the
deliberate. to me.
waiver is granted by the board verbally and then placed as a note on the plan, not hidden on a drainage sheet, 8 pages into the plan.
Yeah.
So
We actually have it on the recorded plan, the sheet that actually goes to the
4-point
registry.
font.
So in terms of his email, I think you would be accurate to respond and say, oh, yes, right here where you say that it's put on the plan by the planning board, that wasn't done.
That is not the case of this note.
Right, so that wasn't done, so thank you for pointing that out. That does not apply here. Therefore,
There you go.
Comply.
I mean, I am all for responding to this email, so.
Okay.
That's what I was talking about when we came in, and you looked very confused.
I
You
was,
hadn't seen
and
it.
that's,
Okay.
and that's why this is the first I've
So,
heard about it, so
as far
I'm
as-
happy to respond.
I think so, yeah. So as far as accepting the road or not, I agree with Mark in that, what's in the best interest of Brentwood citizens is that in their best interest to not have a town road as they would have expected, having homes in Brentwood because of something the developer did. Again, coming back to if it's really for all, practical purposes, probably not going to be any different for the town.
but then what does that do going forward? If we say, oh yeah, you know what, this is actually fine, then what's the point of requiring the other thing? Somebody else can come and say, oh,
Well,
you let them do it.
It would be interesting if the revision of the road standards said, because ADS has been developed way more in the 30 years since we've looked at this issue,
That would change.
we offer you the ability to use either, whichever you choose. That could be a completely legitimate engineering response to a review of road standards that haven't been looked at in the entire time I've worked here.
So I think part of it could be, we were already going down this path.
We
but
were.
this confirms that we need to look
Why
at
we
our
should be
road-
doing this.
That we need to hire this consultant and look at our road standards again. I agree, and that's why I think we all need to think about it some more, because
Is there a big cost difference, Steph, on this?
Yeah.
In terms of these,
There is, it is a
Yeah.
lot.
There is,
it's,
yeah.
And the installation is a lot different because you're not hand moving those reinforced concrete pipes.
Yeah,
I think.
A roadway cross-section is hand-drawn.
Yeah, I mean,
It needs.
we
it-
haven't
it needs
haven't
to be that.
literally looked at them in
30
in the entire time I've been here.
when is he
Right.
going to have the proposal? Because we need to,
He said that he would have it so that we could review it in December.
Okay.
because we need to encumber funds
Right, and that's, I told
to
him,
get it, so we don't have a lot of time.
I told him that.
Okay.
You could also take a bit of a harder tack and say, replace the ones that do not have homes on them yet. They're not, they're not, there's no asphalt there. You
No,
could easily
I think
dig,
we have some options and
Yeah.
that could be
Mhm,
one.
there are options to.
Do we're here right now, do we want to send this issue to council? I'd hate for us to make that decision in 3 weeks if we can make
Yeah.
that decision
I
today.
wouldn't mind another
That's-
opinion. I
that's
mean,
a
you,
good idea.
you gave us your opinion about what, I mean, we have, let's say we've got 4 different options. We know at least 2 of them would probably result in being taken to court, so it'd be good to have some input.
But
Because
if we actually think that the plastic or whatever it is possibly as good or better and less expensive for them, my only issue is the builder cocky and arrogant about this? Is he,
Rob will be.
Rob,
I know he has a financial interest, obviously, but is he pushy? Does he kind of try to pull stuff or not?
I
Is he
haven't,
that type?
I haven't dealt with him enough to tell you that.
Good. And you didn't get that impression when you had this conversation? with him?
Well, I always work with the engineers, and Wayne is not a pushy engineer.
Okay.
When I've dealt with Wayne for 30 years, when I have issues that he needs to address, he addresses them.
It seems like there were, there may have been some honest mistakes made, but after the fact, trying to say, well,
Yeah.
There's a no.
Now we're getting to the point where we're digging in our heels on what our sides are.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about here. And I really would like the opportunity to get this information to council.
Yeah.
Because it does at least give you guys another piece of information, another
Yeah.
data point to make your decision from.
do we
we
need
need
to
a motion.
vote?
You
Yeah.
do.
Make a motion that Glenn proposal letter for council to review the culvert,
These issues.
please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks, Glenn.
I think
If
that's
we
a good
do
thing to do.
agree that he can use the plastic, then it'll be plastic from here on. Because if you set
No,
a
no,
precedent,
yeah.
pardon?
Or maybe just give them the choice from there on.
Well,
updated
give them the
standards.
choice, but I'm saying, if they want plastic because it is less expensive, then they're gonna have it, because you've already set a precedent. But I'm not saying that we can't cave either.
I think people can ask for waivers,
It's all
which
about, I
we
mean,
can vote on.
precedence is all about what the end decision is, so, and how it's made. If you're setting precedence, but in your final statement of what's happened, you say this has happened because of a number of miscommunications, then you're not setting the precedent. If you're saying that you've come to this as a result of circumstances that were not anticipated and are not in complete support of our regulation, then you're not setting a bad precedent. But if we come away from this and say, the reason we feel this is because ADS piping is as good or better then we should look at what that precedent is.
Well, it's no question, we probably should look at the ordinance.
We absolutely need to do that.
Yeah.
But you can make a decision that doesn't create a precedence if there's legitimate reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I think if we had not spent the last half an hour talking about this and just said, it's fine, then
That's a bad
that's a
precedent.
different, that's a bad precedent.
That's a bad precedent.
That is not us. Okay.
Hmm.
Minutes
Hmm.
for October 3rd. Any issues?
Well, could I just make a motion to
Oh.
to remove the October 3rd minutes from the table? Because those were the ones that we had tabled last meeting,
Oh.
because there were,
Do we have to untable?
hmm?
Do we have to untable?
Right, but since we laid them on the table, my understanding of parliamentary is that you technically have to vote to remove it from the table, and then we can pass it.
I don't think,
they were tabled.
yeah, I don't think,
I don't ever remember a motion, well, I don't remember a motion to table.
Being tabled?
I made the motion.
Oh.
oh,
To table them?
Yeah, to lay them on the table.
all right, I guess we have to
I
untable.
don't think that's
Oh, no.
reflected in the 17th. I don't remember the words table being used.
I use it informally.
Oh, okay.
Um,
All right. Well, I mean, it's not like it's that big of a deal. So.
I apologize. I'll
No,
pay
don't
more
apologize.
I will pay more attention.
No,
to
don't
your
apologize.
exact verbiage.
Just a simple miscommunication. No worries.
Should we just make the motion?
Yeah. Then
to
yeah.
proceed?
No. I think we're fine.
okay, so we're going to consider the October 3rd minutes. Any issues with them? All right.
You've had them.
You changed them though, right?
I
Or
did.
yeah,
I did. And my fingers have learned to type N-O
okay.
instead of O-N.
I'll make a motion to approve October 3rd.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Who abstained? Doug?
Doug. 10:17.
I'll make a motion to approve the October 17th minutes.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
No changes?
Just a spelling.
Which one?
Trustees is EE.
Trustees? What's it?
EES.
I can look.
Right? It's EE. Okay, sorry, we had a motion and a
With the change?
spelling. Second, should we have a second?
I'll second.
Oh, I thought somebody already.
I did, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right.
Well,
Oh, I got it.
if the Google machine didn't catch it. Anything else?
You got, it was Doug and then Brian seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Did we hear anything back about Tractor Supply, or did that just? Yeah,
Oh,
Oh.
we told them to
We denied them the.
go to
Yeah.
Tractor Supply if they wanted permission, or Tractor Supply would have to come in. Did you hear anything back from them?
I'm
Sorry.
in a different world. May I help you?
So, we talked about, there was a company that wanted to sell meat in the
Yes.
parking lot, and we told them they needed to talk to the property owner, who would have to come back with a site plan. Did we ever hear anything
I
back?
called him to tell him. I received a voicemail. I left a message, a detailed message of who I was, why I was calling, and the decision of this board. And I have heard
Nothing?
nothing in return.
All right.
The meat has flown the coop.
Okay.
Maybe he didn't call back because he has beef with us.
I knew it. I knew it. Somebody was going to come.
The meat falls off the
Mhm.
truck.
Anything from the public?
Very good.
We sent him to the slaughterhouse.
Sure, yeah, I can, I'll CC you on the email when I put together.
And before we vote to adjourn, do we need to sign the Mylar? Can we do that after we
Yes.
adjourn?
No?
No.
'Cause that way no one will leave, right? Can't leave until you
You
sign it.
cannot leave. I'm
So
locking
won't
the
adjourn.
doors. It's gonna be like Christine. I meant to go get the.
Does everybody?
But we can, actually, we can
We
adjourn.
we say it that they do. In our regulations, we say that the majority of the board should sign the plan. But all the registry cares about is her signature.
We can,
all they care
we can adjourn though, because then we can shut
Yeah,
everything
you,
down.
yeah, you don't have to.
I'll make that motion
To what?
to adjourn.
Adjourn.
No way.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let me get